Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Jacob Wilson. I'm here with Charlie Ottinger, and I'm super excited. Actually, Charlie's our guest today. You hear me constantly reference Charlie and talk about Charlie. For you guys who have been in our Muscle Ph.D. Academy course, you'll know that Charlie is one of our main instructors, and he takes you through practical application, squatting, benching, deadlifting, how to get strong, how to actually apply all the stuff that we're doing. So I want to introduce Charlie. First off, Charlie is one of my really close friends. Secondly, Charlie is also our Director of Performance for Applied Science and Performance Institute. Third, Charlie is also a scientist. He's actually doing research right now. He's published with us multiple papers at ASPI. It's rare when you get someone who is applied, because he works with professional athletes, normal people, but he also publishes. And on top of that, Charlie is just about to complete his doctoral program, and he's doing research on a topic that's actually never been studied, and it's on offset loading, basically, which is a topic he'll talk about later. But it's a phenomenal topic where you ever have problems with where you have imbalances between your left arm, your right arm, your left leg, your right leg. He's studying how to bring those up from a symmetry standpoint, use this concept called offset loading. But besides that, Charlie's also been a professional power lifter, one of the strongest guys I know, one of the coolest guys I know, one of the smartest guys I know. And when I was asked to do the question on warm-up, I specifically asked Charlie because he's got so much background in applied science and practicality. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it on to Charlie.
Thanks, Doc. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
It's far too kind. I'm going to try to live up to everything Doc just told you guys. But anyways, like he said, I'm Charlie. I'm going to here to talk about warm-ups today. So you head to the gym, you get in, you see your racks open, you say, man, I want to grab that rack, but I know I need to warm up first. Why do you know that you need to warm up? Because if you're like me, you get under that barbell and you try to squat, you're not going anywhere. Your body's stiff, it feels cold, it doesn't want to move. Why is this the case if you're not warmed up? Well, first of all, we have to talk about a really cool organ, the skeletal muscle system, okay? Dr. Wilson's talked about the skeletal muscle system a lot in his research and a lot of these videos in our academy, all that cool stuff. But the skeletal muscle system is really, really cool, okay? And so we talk about warming up. There's two main properties of skeletal muscle we want to talk about. The first one is plasticity. Now, what does plasticity mean? Well, that means our muscles can respond to a ton of different stimuli in a ton of different ways, okay? So that includes things like chemical stimuli like lactic acid, hydrogen ions, all these things building up, physiological stimuli like growth signals, mechanical stimuli like lifting weights, but they also respond to temperature. Now, that's a really cool component. So why do they respond to temperature? Well, that second part of muscle we want to talk about is called viscoelasticity. Really cool word, right? So what that means is that muscles present essentially actions that are similar to viscous materials, such as thick fluids that don't flow very well, like oil or syrup, okay? They also present properties like elastic materials, like plastic or like rubber, okay? And what do we know about viscous and plastic materials? Well, they change shape easier when they're warm. So if I heat up a bottle of syrup, it flows a lot easier. If the oil heats up in my car's engine, it flows a lot easier. Now I can go street racing, okay? My muscles are the same way. They present those properties that they change shape better when they're warm. They're more likely to let you use a full range of motion when they're warm, okay? So when I plan warm-ups for people at ASPI or wherever we're warming up at, I want to make sure that I have two components to my warm-up, a general warm-up and a specific warm-up, okay? In that general warm-up, all I'm trying to do is raise my muscle temperature. So you show up at ASPI, I'm gonna say, hop on the bike for 5 minutes. All I'm doing on the bike is I want you to work up a light sweat. I want you to get off of it feeling warm, okay? Once you're feeling warm, you've raised that core temperature. Now it's time to get into a specific warm-up. So that specific warm-up is entirely dependent on what you're doing that day. If you have legs that day, let's go warm up our legs. Some people like doing a dynamic warm-up. Some people like just hopping under the bar and taking their time warming up with reps. I kind of like to do a combination of the two. To me, it entirely depends on the individual and what that person needs to move better in their workout. So For a lot of people, say they're working legs, I want to warm up the ankle joint specifically, do some sort of calf raise, some sort of dorsiflexion to get the ankle moving through more range of motion. I want to warm up the knee joint if I'm doing light leg extensions, maybe some lunges or something like that. And I want to warm up the hip joint by, doing some glute activation work. Now I have those muscles firing. Now I have in my mind, I'm thinking about it's time to squat, deadlift, or whatever I'm going to, okay? Similar idea if I want to do an upper body day. I want to make sure I warm up each joint involved in my movements specifically for what I'm going to do in that exercise, okay? And the last thing I like to do with warm-ups is if people have serious either weaknesses or issues with movement, I like to program those into your warm-up too, okay? So if you come in and you have lower back pain, for instance, it's probably some kind of core weakness and some glute inactivation issues. So in your warm-up, we're gonna do some core exercises and we're gonna do some glute activation work to A, get some of rid of that back pain right away, and B, make sure you're always moving with your core and your glutes primed to always protect your lower back, okay? So a warm-up's kind of a cool topic. At the end of the day, make sure you're actually warm, you're increasing your core temperature, and make sure you add some sort of specific warm-up that's specific to what the workouts you're about to do. Thanks so much, we'll see you guys next time.